Have you ever felt like someone was watching you, even when you're alone, or like a sinister presence was lurking just beyond the edge of your vision? If so, then you'll relate to the terrifying experiences of Dr. Rose Cotter in the 2022 horror film, Smile. Welcome back to your nerdy show. I'm your host, Spoiler Master. In this video, we're going to delve deep into the chilling conclusion of Smile, unraveling the mysteries behind the enigmatic smile and exploring the film's underlying themes. So grab your popcorn, turn off the lights, and let's dive into the terrifying world of Smile. Smile If You Dare: How the Curse Started. In the dimly lit corridors of a psychiatric ward, therapist Rose Cotter encounters a troubled graduate student named Laura Weaver. Laura, her voice trembling, recounts a harrowing tale of witnessing her professor's suicide. She speaks of a sinister presence that haunts her, manifesting as a parade of grinning faces, each one a harbinger of her impending doom. As the weight of her terror overwhelms her, Laura erupts into a fit of screams, sending Rose into a panic. But in an instant, the chaos subsides. Laura's expression shifts to an eerie calm, a chilling smile gracing her lips as she draws a blade across her throat, leaving Rose paralyzed with horror. The following day, a patient named Carl, his face eerily mirroring Laura's last smile, suddenly shouts at Rose, proclaiming her fate is sealed. In a rush, Rose calls for the nurses to restrain him, only to discover that Carl has been lost in slumber all along. Alarmed by the unsettling events, her supervisor, Dr. Morgan Desai, insists that Rose take a week off to recover. Yet, the shadows of her mind grow darker, and her hallucinations intensify, leading her colleagues to fear for her safety. Desperate for clarity, Rose seeks the counsel of her former therapist, Dr. Madeline Northcott, who probes into Rose's past, revealing the haunting memories of her childhood, where she witnessed the tragic overdose of her abusive, mentally unstable mother. At a seemingly innocent birthday celebration for her nephew, Rose's world spirals into chaos. As the child tears through the wrapping paper of her gift, a chilling revelation unfolds. Nestled within is the lifeless body of her beloved cat, a grotesque replacement for the intended present. The room erupts in horror, and Rose, overwhelmed by the grotesque turn of events, succumbs to a public breakdown. In her frantic state, she locks eyes with a guest whose smile is disturbingly wide, a grin that sends shivers down her spine. In her panic, she stumbles backward, crashing into a glass coffee table, shards of glass biting into her skin. This incident solidifies her belief that she is ensnared in a sinister curse, while her fiancé Trevor dismisses her fears as signs of madness. Desperate for answers, Rose discovers that Laura's professor had been smiling eerily before his untimely demise. She seeks out the professor's widow, Victoria, who reveals that he had witnessed a suicide shortly before his own tragic end. In a bid to uncover the truth, Rose enlists the help of her ex-boyfriend, Joel, a detective, to sift through old police records. They uncover a disturbing pattern. Individuals who witnessed a suicide while someone smiled at them often met the same fate within a week. In a futile attempt to reconcile with Trevor, Rose's anger ignites when she learns he has summoned Madeline for psychological help without consulting her. Feeling betrayed, she storms off to confide in Holly, only to be met with skepticism. Holly dismisses Rose's fears, likening her behavior to that of their deceased mother. In a fit of rage, Rose accuses Holly of abandoning her during their mother's final days, deepening the rift between them. In the dim light of a flickering bulb, Rose and Joel stumbled upon the one anomaly in the grim series of suicides: the notorious killer, Robert Talley, locked away in a cold, unforgiving prison. Their visit was shrouded in dread as Talley, with a sinister grin, whispered chilling revelations about an insatiable entity that thrived on human suffering. He proposed a horrifying solution: to rid themselves of the curse, one must commit a brutal murder before a witness, thereby transferring the malevolent force to them. Rose, her heart pounding with rage, vehemently dismissed his twisted suggestion. That night, the entity manifested in her home, taking the form of her deceased friend Madeline, its voice dripping with mockery. Consumed by despair, Rose found herself driving to the hospital, a knife clutched tightly in her trembling hand. In a frenzy, she plunged the blade into Carl, all while Morgan watched in horror. But as the blood spilled, reality shattered. It was merely a figment of her fractured mind. Startled awake in her car, Rose found Morgan standing outside, his eyes wide with concern as he spotted the knife glistening ominously. Panic surged through her, and she sped away, leaving Morgan to call the authorities in a desperate attempt to save her from herself. With nowhere left to turn, Rose raced to her family's long-abandoned home, a place steeped in memories and shadows. It dawned on her that the only way to escape the entity's curse was to confront it head-on. But the chilling realization struck her. If she died alone, the curse would remain unbroken, forever haunting the living. The entity is her mother or not. In the chilling narrative of Smile, the entity serves as a haunting symbol of unresolved trauma, a dark legacy that transfers from one soul to another. As the story reaches its climax, this metaphor takes on a more sinister form when the entity reveals itself as Rose's deceased mother. As the tension mounts, Rose comes to a harrowing realization. To break free from the curse, she must confront it in solitude, away from prying eyes. She makes her way back to the desolate family home, the very place where her mother met her tragic end. By this stage, the audience understands that young Rose witnessed her mother's final moments, a memory that continues to torment her. Upon entering the house, the entity morphs into her mother, hurling accusations that cut deep. The trauma of her mother's death is only the surface. A fleeting flashback reveals the emotional scars left by her mother's abusive nature, and in that fateful moment, young Rose chose silence over a cry for help. Now, as she fights for her survival, Rose desperately tries to convince herself that this nightmare isn't real. The entity sneers back, "Your mind makes it real." To emphasize its power, it grotesquely transforms into a towering, twisted version of her mother and lunges at her. In a fierce struggle, Rose defiantly ignites the creature and the house, engulfing both the curse and the guilt it embodies in flames, granting her a chance to escape the horrors that have haunted her for so long. Ending explained. What happened to Rose? Rose believed she had vanquished the curse, leaving the smoldering ruins behind her, convinced she could reclaim her life, free from the shackles of dread and emotional turmoil. She sought refuge with her ex-boyfriend Joel, the sole witness to her harrowing ordeal, the only one who might understand. Arriving at his apartment, she pleaded for him to stay by her side. "Of course, I'll stay with you," he assured her, his voice dripping with an unsettling warmth. "I'll stay with you forever." That smile of his, so familiar yet twisted, sent a chill down her spine. In that moment, the illusion of her triumph shattered. She hadn't escaped the house, nor the creature that haunted her. Suddenly, she found herself back outside her home, with Joel, the real Joel, trailing behind her. Panic surged through her as she dashed inside, slamming the door and locking him out, confronting the horror that awaited her. In a nightmarish twist, the entity, still cloaked in its grotesque maternal guise, seized Rose completely. It peeled away its face, revealing a skinless abomination. A mass of jaws nestled within a gaping, grinning maw. It slithered into Rose, who was now nothing more than a hollow shell. Joel finally broke through the door, only to be met with the sight of Rose. A manic grin plastered on her face as she drenched herself in gasoline. With a flick of a match, she ignited herself, flames consuming her, leaving behind the chilling implication that the curse had now found a new host. The ending echoed the darkest traditions of horror, a haunting reminder of the cycle that never truly ends. The conclusion of the tale ignited fierce discussions, especially regarding its portrayal of mental illness. Some viewers interpreted Rose's demise as a sorrowful reflection on the harrowing journey of confronting trauma, while others believed the film's representation of her battle was excessively grim and devoid of hope. "I like complex, messy, sometimes ambiguous endings that can stir debate," Finn remarked in an interview.
What? He was smiling at me.
What's next? The chilling triumph of Smile cast a long shadow, making a sequel almost inevitable. It wasn't long before the whispers of Smile 2 echoed through the darkened halls of the film industry. Set to creep into theaters on October 18th, 2024, this new installment emerges just over 2 years after the original's haunting debut. Gallowner will reprise his role as Joel, but the trailer hints at a sinister twist. The narrative now centers on a world-renowned pop star portrayed by Naomi Scott, who has unwittingly become the entity's latest prey. This shift opens the door to a myriad of terrifying possibilities, expanding the franchise's eerie lore and deepening its nightmarish mythology. So this was For Today's Folks. See you in our next video. Till then, bye-bye and take care.
I'm waiting for you.
No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.